Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is, simply put, the most funky basketball player I have ever seen. And I mean that in the best way possible because he's incredibly fun to watch, and he's been one of my favorite players ever since he was in high school. However, due to a lack of team success combined with injuries, most people have really not given Shai Gilgeous-Alexander the recognition that he truly deserves based off of his talent. But what he's been able to do has been very impressive regardless of the team around him, and I see a lot of upside with them moving forward, and that's saying something because he's already shown a lot production-wise. He's one of the best scoring guards in basketball. Forget young scoring guards, just in general, one of the best at scoring the basketball as a guard, and deserves to be talked about way more in this regard. And he could be in for a potential best season of his young career in 2023. Shai is one of the most versatile guards in basketball due to his height and his arm length. He stands at 6'6", he has a 6'11" wingspan, and one of the biggest selling points about him entering the league was his lineup versatility, and that's translated to the NBA very well. He can play point guard or shooting guard, and he's capable of handling some minutes at the 3, but I would not put him at the small forward spot full time. This is very important because of the talent on OKC's roster and the talent that will be joining the roster in the future. The flexibility in lineup spots you can put one of your cornerstones in is a valuable asset to have. One thing that has been very noticeable to me with Shai has been how his role has increased in the offense from a season-to-season basis since entering the league. His field goal attempts have gone up each season, his 3-point attempts have gone up each season, his 2-point field goal attempts have gone up each season, his free throw attempts have gone up each season, and his usage percentage has gone up each season. Now, there isn't a clear linear connection between his volume stats going up and his efficiency going up, as his true shooting percentage did dip this past season. However, I will say that while it did dip, it didn't go down to a concerning percentage. It was slightly below league average, but considering the talent around Shai, it wasn't the worst thing in the world. I'm not too worried about it. I do think his 41.8% from 3 on 4.9 attempts per game in the 2021 season was more of a 35-game small sample size thing than what it is telling about his actual shooting ability. And I do think that his 3-point percentage in 2022 was telling of 2021 being a small sample size, but I also think that 30% from 3 isn't a real reflection of his true shooting ability either. Something that I found very interesting when looking at his numbers from 3 and watching him play was that a majority of his 3-pointers were off multiple dribbles. 3.4 of his 5.3 3-point attempts per game he took were when he took 3 or more dribbles before taking the shot, which accounted for 64.2% of his 3-point attempts. Compare that to 1.9 of his 5.3 attempts from 3, where he took 0 to 2 dribbles before taking the shot, which accounted for 35.8% of his 3-pointers. I feel like I've said this a lot with young guards on this channel already, but being able to play off ball more will likely help Shai's efficiency out a lot. Having a connecting passer like Josh Giddey will help, and I think that in time that connection will work because Giddey is one of the most gifted connecting passers, and he's going to be able to find Shai open more times than not. By also then getting another guy who can take the pressure off of Shai as a scorer a bit more could help him out way more than people might think it would. Because this past season he averaged less than 1 catch and shoot look attempt per game, and I would like to see that number go up a lot over the next few years. And the thing is, overall, it's not like he has terrible shooting indicators either. He shot 43.3% on mid-range area shots on 2.1 attempts per game. He shot 44% on 3.9 pull-up 2-point field goal attempts per game. And he shot 81% from the line on 7.2 attempts per game. However, to me, the jump shooting isn't the biggest part of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's game. The area that intrigues me the most is his finishing ability, because Shai plays with a craft and creativity to his offense as a scorer that really just stood out to me so much when watching the tape. He's not the most explosive athlete in the world. He's not going to be this quick twitch athlete that's going to hit you with a bunch of moves to get you off balance. He's very patient and plays at his own pace, and to be able to play at your own pace at this level with the offensive responsibility and volume that he plays with takes a special scoring talent. He uses very good manipulation tactics like hesitations and counters. He has very good contact balance and uses it to his advantage. He has very good flexibility and body control that allows him to finish at tough angles. His feel for the game as a scorer is well beyond his years, and it allows him to get to his spots almost at will. He shot 61.9% in the restricted area on 5.6 attempts per game, and he shot 56.8% on all layup attempts, which he took 7.5 of per game. He has very good touch around the basket, which is highlighted by both his efficiency in that area and what the tape shows as well. He also has shown incredible improvement as a foul drawer, as his numbers have gone up in both a free throw attempt and free throw attempt rate over the years. I know it's year 5, which I can't believe that's already going to be the 5th season for that 2018 draft class. That's the second ever draft class I really truly covered. But more importantly, when it comes to Shai, it's been almost 5 seasons. It's going to be 5 seasons this year, and he's proven he can play at a high level at his current weight. But I do think adding a bit more functional strength could make Shai even more dangerous as a finisher than he already is. When watching Shai Gilgeous-Alexander play, I felt like his finishing ability was the foundation of his game, and the shot creating was how he played off of that finishing ability. Funny enough, I said this is how Anthony Edwards should focus his game, but for different reasons obviously. Shai is clearly great as a scorer on offense, and it is the foundation of his game, but he's also a really good passer as well. Now, he's not the best passer on the team. That's Josh Giddey pretty easily, in my opinion. But that says a lot more about how great of a passer Josh Giddey is than it does about Shai's lacking ability as a passer, because he does not lack in the area of passing. Shai is a player with good vision, good pass accuracy, and is pretty creative as well with his manipulation. However, where he thrives as a passer is how he uses his scoring gravity to create easier looks for others. And honestly, I think he can get up to around 7 to 8 assists per game if that's what's asked of him. Now, I do think he's closer to a connecting passing playmaker than a full-time primary passing playmaker like a LaMelo Ball or a Trae Young, but those are 2 of the best passing playmakers in the world, so it's okay not to be on that level. But I do think that Shai's ability as a scorer on top of his good passing skills allow him to be an overall primary offensive option, even if he isn't the primary passing playmaker. However, Shai isn't a player that you just pencil into one role. He can play multiple roles, which is what makes him so valuable. I mentioned his lineup versatility earlier, but his role versatility is just as impressive. His skill set as a player fits as a first, second, and even third option. He can play off of others, which he proved he can do in his first 2 NBA seasons, and despite what the team record might show, he's proven he can be a productive go-to guy as well. I find his dynamic with Josh Giddey to be very interesting. One of the most interesting dynamics in basketball, because Giddey is basically the 2 guard as the big-time passer, and SGA is basically the point guard as the big-time scorer. Usually the roles are reversed in this situation. Also, the fact that both of them can play 1 through 3 to at the very least a certain extent is a valuable thing to have as well. It really does suck that Chet Holmgren is going to miss this season, because I was really looking forward to watching him play. He's a very fun young talent, one of the best young talents entering the league, and it would have been cool to see him play off of Shai and Giddey. I really think that could have helped him out a lot. However, Chet getting a year of NBA strength training, which is among the best in the country, and just being around an NBA team, learning from the people on the roster, could lead to a monster 2023-2024 rookie campaign. Plus, you got a rookie like Jalen Williams, who is a strong all-around guard wing type, and Ousmane Dieng, who is a high-ceiling 6'10 wing with passing upside. And I know everyone is talking about how they're going to tank for Victor Wembanyama, which makes sense because Wemby is one of the best prospects I have ever seen. But it's not going to be some heartbreaking loss if they don't get the first pick either. Scoot Henderson is up there for best point guard prospect I've ever evaluated. I would have to give it some thought, but he's definitely in consideration for that title. In fact, I think he would be the consensus top player in this class if Wemby wasn't in it. And I think both of them would have been the first pick if they were eligible for the 2021 draft. He fits the mold of a freak athlete point guard that could take the pressure off of Shai, also remove Shai to his more natural two-guard spot and Giddey to a connecting three spot, which I really think Giddey would thrive in. Amen Thompson is one of the most freakish athletes I've ever seen in person, and he has a legit passing tool at 6'8". Nick Smith Jr. is a very fun guard that honestly reminds me a bit of Shai, not completely, but in the ability to play both the 1 and the 2, it is somewhat similar. Dariq Whitehead is an athletic scoring wing that could take a bit of pressure off of Shai. He's one of the youngest players in the draft and has a ton of upside, not only as a scorer, but all around as well. And Cam Whitmore is basically Super Saiyan Broly playing basketball. My point is that OKC has a bright future. Myself and many others have been critical of OKC in the past. Actually, scratch that, I was just flat out mean when it comes to talking about OKC, I'll admit it. But where they are now could lead to a very bright future. And no matter what they add in the future, they can go BPA because a lot of their young players are very scheme versatile, very lineup versatile, and can play multiple positions, including Shai. I think that Shai has the ceiling of a low-end number 1, high-end number 2. A player that can be the best on a contender if the team is built around him properly and basically perfectly, but is more fit to be a high-end number 2 next to a superstar. Paul George is a perfect example of this in my opinion. Not comparing them as players from a skill set standpoint because I don't think SGA is ever going to be one of the best wing defenders of his generation, but from a player level standpoint, I do think that Shai can be that good. It will be interesting to see where OKC goes from here. I think after this season, we will really start to see the improvement with them in their record, and they could be a playoff team in around 4 to 5 years. I don't know if Shai will be the main guy when they are a playoff team. We'll have to see how the next few drafts go. But it's hard for me to believe he'll be any lower than a top 3 option and a cornerstone for them for a very long time. But that's the end of this video. If you made it to this point, thank you so much. Again, haven't already, like, subscribe, hit notification bell, I'm notified whenever I release a video. I'm making videos about basketball all the time, so if that interests you, I really think that you would enjoy this channel. And liking and subscribing is the best way you can help support me, help me grow as a channel so I can make more content for you guys. If you want to see content that I make that isn't related to basketball, I really would recommend checking out my video essay channel. I make long form video essays about cartoons and anime over there. Link to that channel in the description below and in the pinned comment. I have a video that should be coming out hopefully by the end of the month on that channel. So if you want to check that out, you can check that out. And I also have 2 videos from that channel popping up over here. You can check those 2 videos out from that channel. One about Classroom of the Elite, another one about Scooby-Doo. You can click over here to check out a video YouTube will recommend from this channel. You can click the icon in the middle to subscribe if you haven't already, or check out other videos on my channel. That being said, have a nice day, and I'll see you guys in the next one.